This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We are live in Abuja. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. Welcome. A soft reminder that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. We start with the president's engagement in South Korea, where Nigerians in that country have emerged to replicate the excellent virtues of their country and project her positive image through their actions, character, conduct, and general comportment. President Muhammadu Buhari threw the challenge at an audience with the leadership of the Nigerian community in the Asian country. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president was also a guest of the Korean parliament. That story would come in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, African ambassadors on tour of duty in the Republic of Korea have been advised to prioritize the protection of the interest of Africa and her people in the Asian country. President Buhari said Africa must also be projected as a single unified continent. This was while granting audience to a group of African ambassadors on the margins of the World Bar Summit in Seoul, South Korea. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo completes the report.
I'm very pleased for the opportunity to meet all of you again.
This is the second time President Muhammadu Buhari will be meeting the envoys, as all of them were at the airport on Monday in a show of solidarity to formally welcome him to the Republic of Korea. They are here this time to rub minds with the Nigerian leader on the priorities of Africa in the Committee of Nations.
It is imperative that as you go about your diplomatic duties, you take into cognizance the contents of the African Union Charter and the EU Agenda 2063 as they represent the priority expectations of the African continent. We need to continue to look after one another with the aim of projecting Africa as a single unified continent.
President Buhari said narratives reflecting the correct standing of Africa in the world must be projected at all times while sustaining the already existing friendly relations amongst the Africa group.
The economic prosperity and development of Africa is a collective responsibility of Africans in leadership positions. I therefore call upon you as a group and as individuals to promote the agenda of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is aimed at making Africa an attractive common market for the global community.
Dean of the Diplomatic Corps and Gabonese Ambassador to South Korea, Carlos Bungu, thanked President Buhari for his leadership in Africa and achievements recorded by Nigeria in its development process under his watch.
Mr. President, your country is doing remarkably well despite obvious challenges all nations encounter. And the African continent needs a strong Nigeria to continue to play a leading role in the African Union and in international affairs. We are hopeful that Your Excellency's visit to Korea will be a great success.
For Geoffrey Onyema, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, the reception accorded President Buhari by the envoys shows African solidarity as the African Union captures and institutionalizes the unity of the continent, a position shared by Nigeria's ambassador to South Korea, Ali Magashi. From Seoul, South Korea, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has invited Korean businessmen to increase their business activities in Nigeria as his administration continues to improve the environment for businesses to flourish. A statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, indicates that the president spoke during an audience with top business executives on the sidelines of the World Bao Summit 2022 in Seoul, South Korea. The president assured them that at the moment, the rating of Nigeria as an investment-friendly nation has increased significantly, thereby becoming a choice business destination, as attested to by the Korean companies already conducting businesses in the country. And back home, 22 pieces of repatriated Benin bronzes were received by the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Zubairu Dada, in Abuja, on behalf of the federal government. Zubairu Dada says the United States has responded positively to Nigeria's previous calls to repatriate Nigerian acts taken away during the colonial era. Garba Muhammad completes the report.
These artifacts are 3 out of the 22 returned artifacts dating back to the 16th and 17th centuries. The ancestral Benin bronzes are made of brass and bronze materials used to honor past kings and queens in the Benin Kingdom. 28 items were in possession of the Smithsonian African Museum in the United States. However, 22 items were released and the museum coordinated the repatriation for onward deliverance to the Nigerian government. Overwhelmed by the move, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Zubairu Dada acknowledged that museums and galleries abroad have now opened their doors wider, signaling better cooperation with Nigeria at the international stage.
We must say thank you to the United States of America for recognizing the need for them to open a new chapter in this direction.
This artifact will end up going straight to Benin. There's a museum in Benin that is almost completed where they are going to display this artifact.
Following a series of engagements and agreements signed at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it is an indication that Nigeria is getting positive response from foreign partners. So far, the ministry is expected to formalize the handing over of the artifacts to the Ministry of Information and Culture for further action. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad, NTA News.
And there's still news from South Korea. As all things being equal, refined petroleum products will be obtained by marketers from the Kaduna refinery by the middle of next year. President Muhammadu Buhari gave this assurance in Seoul, South Korea, at the signing ceremony of a letter of intent between the NNPC Limited and Daewoo Engineering and Construction Company for the Kaduna refinery quick fix project. Adamu Sambo completes the report.
At the landmark and significant event witnessed by President Muhammadu Buhari and top officials of the Nigerian government, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kolokyari, and the Chief Executive Officer of South Korea's Daewoo Engineering and Construction Company, Jung Gwang-baek, signed the Quick Fix Project Agreement for the Kaduna Refinery. This comes at the back of the ongoing rehabilitation work at Buhari Refinery, also being handled by Daewoo at $492 million. President Muhammadu Buhari is delighted that both refining companies are expected to deliver petroleum products to Nigerians by the middle of next year.
Daewoo Group has massive investments in the automobile, maritime, and the other sectors of our economy. I look forward to the delivery of ongoing projects, especially as the Buhari and Kaduna refineries and the NLNG Train 7. This, no doubt, will open many more windows of opportunities for Daewoo and the other Korean companies in Nigeria.
Both the Chief Executive Officers of the NNPC Limited and Daewoo Engineering and Construction Company are optimistic on project delivery on schedule and according to specifications.
And I'm happy that we have a competent partner in this, and we're looking forward to great opportunities with Daewoo, not just about the rehabilitation of this plant which we decide today, but we know that there's extensive capacity that can be transferred into our country. And support them. We're happy to introduce Daewoo to Nigeria in a different manner, in in a way that they can help us much more positively than it has always been.
Kaduna refinery 3 weeks ago.
We are very much delighted that we would be able to serve for expanding refining capacity in Nigeria once again. We are fully committed for the project completion on time and on budget without compromise of quality performance based on our expertise, track records, and passion, which has been gained and accumulated over the last 40 years along with the remarkable industrial development in Nigeria.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, expressed appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for his unparalleled leadership, steadfastness, and unalloyed support towards placing Nigeria's oil and gas industry on a sound footing.
You know, as we have always said, we want to make Nigeria a net exporter of petroleum products, and we are well on course to achieve that target. Next year, very early next year, first quarter, we're expecting Dangote refinery to come on stream, and if Port Harcourt refinery also will be producing, and Warri and Kaduna will be producing next year, then it will be a good year for the oil industry, definitely.
Kaduna refinery has been almost out of service for a very long time, and delivering fuel to the northern part of the country has become very difficult and very costly because of land transportation. I'm sure if the refinery comes on stream, it will help to ease the difficulty being faced by marketers and transporters.
I know in the past when the refinery was functional, it created a lot of jobs. As a matter of fact, that time, on its own was an economical hub for businessmen and women. So with this, I hope the company is able to come and fix it. I know in the past, a lot of efforts have been made by previous governments, but it never worked out. With the experience and what we have seen from Daewoo, I'm very optimistic that this time around we'll get it right.
Cost and details of the rehabilitation work on the Kaduna refinery were however not disclosed. From Seoul, South Korea, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Good news for Nigeria's petroleum downstream there. And it's time for us to join Hingino in our Lagos Network Center. It's over to you.
Increasing realities of climate change across the globe has necessitated urgent attention and action by governments and individuals for strategic adaptation and mitigation. This was re-echoed at a two-day conference on the road to COP27, a United Nations global platform to discuss global warming, climate justice, and sustainable development for Nigeria and Africa. Lynn Leneke reports.
Climate change is accelerating and intensifying in nations around the world, causing increase in rainfall, flooding, heat waves, and rise in sea levels. All these effects are already having significant impact on economies around the globe. Reports and forecasts by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change also offers clearer pictures on the scale of global warming being experienced and likely consequences of further rise in temperature that could play out in years to come. This meeting, therefore, is amplifying the voices of individuals and civil society organizations advocating intensified climate education and action.
Individuals know their roles, communities know their roles. So that we will be able to do a lot to tackle the impact of climate for a sustainable environment.
By the time we start having issue of flooding, by the time we start having issue of drought, it's not going to be about government, it's going to be about individuals trying to survive.
We must begin to be very intentional in addressing the issues of inclusion as we look at the challenges of climate change.
Stakeholders say Nigeria and Africa's position at the United Nations Climate Change Summit in Egypt, COP27, is crucial to addressing the effects of global warming on the continent.
Our different segments of society can contribute to strengthening the hands of Africa at these various negotiations.
Looking at reducing carbon emission to 0% in 2050, that got my attention.
Speakers agree that more awareness campaigns and education on mechanism for climate change justice through constant engagement of youths can assist in attracting needed adaptation measures that can assist communities cope with the effect of climate change. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
Turning to the judiciary now, a Lagos High Court sitting in Tafawa Balewa Square has admitted more evidence from prosecution witness on how the defendant, Chidinma Ojukwu, transferred the sum of 5 million naira on June 15, 2021 from the late Usifo Ataga's account to another account. The ninth prosecution witness, DSP Olusegun Bamidele, told the court this while testifying in the ongoing trial of Chidinma Ojukwu, who allegedly murdered Usifo Ataga, the chief executive officer of Super TV. Abolade Salami reports.
At the resumed hearing of the case, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, Adenike Oluwafemi, told the court that the matter was a continuation of trial. The prosecution witness, Bamidele, told the court that on June 15th, the first defendant used the deceased phone to transfer 5 million from his account to another account, while on June 16th, 2021, 4 transactions of 200,000 were made from the deceased accounts, and on 17th of June, another withdrawal of 20,000 naira were made 5 times. When the prosecution sought to admit the written statement of the defendants, Chidinma's counsel, Onwoka Egu, objected to the admissibility of the documents. He said Chidinma Ojukwu did not make the statement voluntarily, that those informations were obtained by oppression, inducement, intimidation, and under duress, and therefore urged the court to test the veracity, the voluntariness of the statement. The second defendant's counsel, Babatunde Busari, did not object. However, the prosecution prayed the court to conduct trial within trial for Chidinma. In the meantime, Justice Adesoya has adjourned the case to November 8th for trial within trial. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. It's time for a break. Nationwide will be back with Jenny in Port Harcourt shortly.
Seems that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress, like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion. Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondent, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network series of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have been informed, educated, and entertained of when you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now,
this service will finally be recognized.
This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. We've served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. For more details, log on to www.tnawards.ng and follow social media handles at TN Awards.
The Nigerian Television Authority NTA, in collaboration with Havel Corporate Concept, presents Beyond the Debate, a series for all the 18 presidential candidates in the 2023 general elections to present their manifestos and visions to the Nigerian public as a social contract. Beyond the Debate will broadcast live on the network service of the NTA and stream on YouTube and other social media platforms beginning from the 10th November 2022. The publicly signed manifestos by the candidates will be uploaded on this portal, www.summitofpoliticalparties.org. For further inquiries, please contact Dr. Padanga 08033173488, Howard 08033121022.
And welcome to Port Harcourt. The National Emergency Management Agency NEMA has handed over relief materials to Rivers State Flood Management Committee to support those displaced by the ravaging flood disaster. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
Communities lying along the Orashi River and its tributaries affected by the 2022 flood disaster would have additional support, this time coming from NEMA. The agency, at a handover of some relief materials to support those internally displaced by the flood, wants collective action from all stakeholders towards an effective post-flood disaster management. NEMA Director General, represented by the Director of Special Duties, Onimode Bandele, said it is time for effective post-flood disaster plans to address the impact on the people.
What witnessed in Rivers State and indeed others of the Federation should spur everybody to concrete and deliberate action. These items that are going to be handed over today include 1,000 bags of 10 kilogram rice, 1,000 bags of 10 kilogram beans, 1,000 bags of 10 kilogram maize, 75 bags of 20 kg salt.
Chairman of River State Flood Disaster Management Committee, George Nweke, received the items and pledged to ensure they get to those affected.
The people had, but among other things, we also come to do an assessment of what needs to be done after the flood has receded. We look forward to seeing you at that time.
Many of those affected by the 2022 flood disaster who appreciate relief efforts so far donated to them also want deliberate policy action to end this yearly disaster. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The United States Consul General Will Stevens says the United States of America is considering support for Dr. Peter Odili Cancer and Cardiovascular Disease Diagnostic and Treatment Center in Port Harcourt. The Consul General revealed this after an inspection tour of the Cancer Center with Governor Nyesom Wike. Ogedi Nyegwere completes the report.
Dr. Peter Odili Cancer and Cardiovascular Diseases Diagnostic Treatment Center is one of the critical health facilities recently constructed by the Rivers State government. The center, which U.S. Consul General Will Stevens describes as awesome and world-class in terms of quality of medical equipment, indicated the interest of the United States government to offer specialist health services.
It's clearly world-class with world-class equipment. It was really heartening to see so many U.S. companies well represented here, and to see it. It's really a testimony of the impact that U.S. technology is having in Nigeria and around the world as we work together to save lives. And honestly, it's such a reflection of the great work that's already being done in this state.
Mr. Stevens said they are impressed with the tremendous work of Governor Wike in the state. He noted as astonishing the accomplishments of Wike, especially in combating the HIV and AIDS pandemic in the state.
This state went from 17% of the population that were positive with HIV on treatment to 97%, which saved over 100,000 people added to treatment who are now alive because of that work together with the U.S. government through CDC and our PEPFAR program.
The Consul General had earlier paid a visit to the governor in his private residence, where they discussed extensively in the area of trade and investments opportunities open to both Rivers State and United States to explore for mutual benefits. Stevens said their discussions also touched on the contributions of the U.S. government in the 17 southern states of the country they cover. In Port Harcourt, Ogi Dinyekwe, NTA News.
That is it from Port Harcourt. Hawa is back to you in Abuja.
Very well, Jenny. Thank you. Domestic airline operators in Nigeria have appealed to the Senate to intervene in government's decision to involve the Ethiopian Airlines as a strategic partner in the management of the nation's carrier. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Moribiri reports that this was when the Minister of Aviation and stakeholders in the industry appeared before the Senate Committee on Aviation.
This meeting is to clarify issues concerning the choice of Ethiopia Airlines as the preferred investor for Nigerian Air. It is also to provide a level playing ground for domestic airline operators in Nigeria.
They are worried that we are bringing in a competitor to come and be part of this system, believing that Nigeria is still has the heaviest traffic.
Stakeholders were given the opportunity to state their grievances over the decision of the federal government.
If you're going to have anything that will be sustainable, anything that will stand the test of time, you must start from home. Ethiopia does not have any real agenda to grow Nigeria.
The only two things we're against in Airline from the meeting we held is the entry of Ethiopia into the fray. Airline is saying that it should not be called a national carrier because the name national carrier connotes government's ownership.
The Minister of Aviation was on hand to respond.
Competition is a must. New airlines are coming. Nigeria will come. They will come and they'll compete in the same market so long as the competition is fair.
I will plead with my friend, the Honorable Minister, to leave this legacy of bringing on board this national carrier.
The committee is of the opinion that the decision of the federal government is in the interest of the country. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribiri, NTA News.
And for Nigeria to defeat corruption and terrorism financing, the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption advocates interagency synergy, particularly in intelligence sharing among security and anti-corruption agencies. With Nigeria losing billions of dollars annually to corruption, the committee is collaborating with industry experts to examine critically existing laws for combating money laundering and terrorism financing in the country.
We want to draw the attention of Nigerians regarding Money Laundering Prohibition and Prevention Act 2022. We also want to draw the attention of Nigerians regarding the Terrorism Financing Act 2022. The two acts will help Nigeria to tackle two major problems: money laundering, terrorism financing.
The National Assembly rose to its responsibility to pass those legislations. Those legislations, three pieces of legislations. The third one was the Proceed of Crime Recovery and Management Act 2022.
What has been recovered by this government has no precedent in the history of this country. Already, GFC alone has recovered more than a trillion naira, maybe going to 2 trillion naira from various people who have committed financial crimes. They've done that.
Following information in some sections of the media on Wednesday alleging arrest of terrorists with explosives in the Trademore Estate, Lugbe, Abuja, residents say the operation by the DSS had nothing to do with terrorists. Onotu Yakubu brings us an update.
The entire area is peaceful, without cause for worry, as residents go about their normal routine in the Trademore Estate. Fred Okorie is the Public Relations Officer of the Estate Residents Association. In his narration, executives and residents were as well perturbed, like every FCT resident, when the story surfaced in the media alleging recovery of explosives and arms from terrorists in the estate.
If any exhibits were uncovered, we don't know about that. The
DSS just came, carried out their operation and left. They did not display any explosives.
Right behind me is the gate into the facility where the DSS operatives were alleged to have carried out the sting operation. Of course, the aftermath of the operation and resultant fake stories generated fears in the mind of residents.
In this kind of thing, somebody is a kind of circular is supposed to be passed. Either remain calm or we're on top of the situation or see, but there is nothing like that.
The security is no longer something that we actually, our heart will be sleeping, that you are sleeping and you are sleeping with your whole heart. We are sleeping now with one of our eyes open because we don't know the next thing that is going to happen.
Spokesperson of the FCT Police Command, DSP Josephine Ade, when contacted, advised journalists to contact the DSS as the command cannot comment on the matter. Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Still on security, the Nigerian Air Force says it has constituted a committee of officers to compile all allegations of accidental airstrikes on civilians as well as review the circumstances leading to such strikes. This was stated by the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, at the opening ceremony of the 2022 Air Operations Seminar holding in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State from the 27th to 28th of October 2022, with a view to suggesting far-reaching measures aimed at mitigating future occurrences of collateral damage on civilians during Nigerian Air Force operations. The Air Chief also noted that the investigation will further promote accountability and allow the NAF to learn valuable lessons in order to avoid similar cases in the future, as well as take extra measures to minimize civilians' harm and casualties in conflict areas. In the meantime, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Amao, has visited Yenagua to commiserate with officers, airmen and their dependents who are victims of the flood currently ravaging the state. Iridium Iba reports that he also inspected the level of damage caused by the flood at the Nigerian Air Force Base in Yenagua, Bayelsa State. For some weeks now, most places in Bayelsa State have been ravaged by flood, rendering many homeless. This is also occasioned with the disruption of socio-economic activities of residents of the state, and the Nigerian Air Force Base in Yenagua has not been spared. Officers, airmen and their dependents in most cases have to wade through the flood waters in their premises, and this comes with its attendant challenges. Worried by the situation and in an effort to bring succor to the personnel, the Chief of Air Staff personally paid a sympathy visit to the Nigerian Air Force Base to commiserate with the personnel and also offer some palliatives to them.
Because we in the military, we take it as if we are in the war hunt and we address it as such. The most important thing is to provide support for the people that are affected.
The palliatives include grains, pasta, vegetable oil, gari, drinking water, medical supply, among others. Members of the host community who are affected by the flood were also given some food items. From the Nigerian Air Force Base, Yenagua, Edidion Iba, NTA News. And still staying with the military, the Nigerian Navy ship NNS Soro has handed over 4 suspected sea pirates to the Nigerian police for further investigation and possible prosecution. Executive Officer NNS Soro, Commander Ifeanyichukwu Charles Mabuku expressed the Navy's determination to flush out criminal elements in the nation's maritime domain. The report.
Over the 4 suspects to the Nigerian police, the executive officer NNS Soro Yenagua, Commander Ifeanyichukwu Charles Mabuku, said the suspects were arrested on the 21st of October 2022 along Foropa in southern Ijo local government area of Bayelsa State.
We had intels about the operations around that community, and upon reception of that intel, we had to go after them.
I'm here to represent my Commissioner of Police, who has sent me to come here for this handling and taking over of the suspects. They have handed over the suspects so far, 4 of them, and we'll make sure investigation will commence in NX.
The Nigerian Navy reiterated its commitment to redouble efforts to stamp out criminal elements threatening the peace, security, and economic prosperity of the nation. In Yenagua, Ebinimi Zitemiola, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Air Force says it is committed to using modern technology and professionally trained personnel through air surveillance and intelligence gathering to combat the country's security challenges. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Amao, said this during the winging ceremony of 17 newly qualified pilots of the Nigerian Air Force during the 2022 Operations Seminar in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. John Paul Alumono reports.
Nigerian security agencies have always risen to the challenge of combating security challenges, and this 2022 seminar by the Nigerian Air Force is born out of the need to draw instructions from their diverse combat experiences towards the development of sound doctrinal principles to guide their future engagements. With the theme, Harnessing Nigerian Air Force Combat Experience in Joint Operations for Doctrinal Development, featured winging of 17 newly qualified pilots. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Olabayo Amao, commends President Muhammadu Buhari and the Akwa Ibom State Governor for their support to the Nigerian Air Force to carry out their assigned duties efficiently, noting that the armed forces is at the forefront of tackling national security challenges.
This opportunity to remind you that in the conduct of Nigerian Air Force operation, we must also always get the rules of engagement.
The Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel expressed gratitude to the Air Force for their selfless sacrifices to keep Nigeria safe and united.
There's no doubt that the Nigerian Air Force has taken country as a responsibility and objectives over the years, successfully in modern countries.
The Commander, Training and Operations, Air Vice Marshal A.G. Bello, explained that the 17 graduated pilots have been exposed to various professional trainings in line with the global best practices.
What we need to do differently and how to do well in the areas we are doing well.
We pray and hope that God Almighty gives us the strength to give our all to the service of our dear nation, Nigeria.
Thank the Chief of Air Staff because they've invested so much resources in training us, and it is now left for us in our own to give it back to the service and to the nation.
2 flying officers were honored for their outstanding performances during their training. In Uyo, John Paul Alumona, NTA News.
And Felicia in Jos is next.
Thank you, Hawa. Glad to have you join us in Jos. The Federal Road Safety Corps Plateau State Command has flagged off the 2022 end-of-year campaign with a mandate to reduce road traffic crashes. Sanau Abdurrahman Mohammed reports.
It is a tradition for the Federal Road Safety Corps to campaign against road traffic crashes during the last quarter of each year, as they are usually characterized by heavy vehicular activities. This year's theme, Avoid Speeding, Overloading, and Unsafe Tires to Arrive Alive, aims at ensuring that motorists understand the importance of being cautious on the roads, checking their vehicles, and making sure they are in good working conditions before embarking on their journeys. The Federal Road Safety, on its part, say all measures are in place with increased deployment of personnel to ensure safety on the highways.
We have set out this year to make this campaign. We want them to know that they have a responsibility towards themselves, towards the general public, to reduce these crashes.
We're all coming out to enforce traffic rules and regulations. You will see our men everywhere.
Plateau State Governor, represented by the Commissioner of Transportation, while flagging of the campaign, says government is doing its part through rehabilitation of bad roads and construction of new ones to ensure safety of lives.
We are providing technology in the transport sector, such as establishing the computerized vehicle inspections. It means that will help in reducing crashes and accidents.
Goodwill messages came from various stakeholders calling for effective collaboration across sectors to save lives. In Jos, Sanau Abdurrahman Mohammed,
NTA News.
As part of activities to create more awareness on breast cancer, the Radiation and Clinical Oncology Department of the Jos University Teaching Hospital has taken the campaign to some streets in Jos. Ruth Stephen Hoke has details.
One of the leading causes of death among women is breast cancer. Globally, efforts are being made by experts to find workable solution to this disease that has claimed many lives. This situation necessitated the Radiation and Oncology Department of Jos University Teaching Hospital to embark on public awareness.
Some of the symptoms will include a breast lump, that's a swelling in the breast, change in skin texture of the skin. The skin can become rough, like the back of an orange. That's some of the things you also notice. Sometimes abnormal discharge from the breast. When you press the nipple, you see maybe a bloody discharge.
Men come with very advanced disease. At that stage, there is little or no help that can be given to them. Because of that, we decided to be celebrating this month of October every year to raise awareness and inform people that this breast cancer is very common and curable.
This survivor says adequate information on breast cancer is required to reduce the rampant cases.
If there is a lump or anything in the breast, people already have diagnosed it may be cancer and they don't want to come out. And that is why sometimes I come out and I voice out, women, please, if there is anything, come out.
With the slogan, early detection saves lives, the month of October is dedicated for breast cancer awareness. In Jos, Ruth Stephen Hoke, NTA News.
That does it from Jos. More reports in Abuja after this break.
Friday, November 11, 2022. History will be made in the maiden edition of the Nigerian Marketing Awards. Are you ready? It's happening live at the prestigious Eko Convention Center, Lagos, from 6 p.m. on. It's a night where excellence and hard work will be rewarded in grand style. Be a part of this amazing experience. Save the date. The Nigerian Marketing Awards is internationally accredited by the Independent Awards Standards Council.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Aguirre.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years. If she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in
just to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is there?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just getting.
Thanks for rejoining us. Preparatory to the forthcoming National Population and Housing Census, the National Population Commission has embarked on a post-trial enumeration survey in Adamawa State to check content errors encountered during the exercise. Moving on to Simon Ash.
So, the ambience was that of the trial census conducted some months ago in Tongo local government area of Adamawa State by the National Population Commission preparatory to the 2023 National Housing and Population Census. This necessitated the post-enumeration survey by the Commission to check the accuracy of the trial census conducted in cognizance with the Commission's strive for zero tolerance for error come next year's exercise.
We have no problem with the people. People are cooperating very well.
We have over 17 years covered, so we have just 3 left to conclude it.
With the successes recorded during the trial in all the 10 wards of Tongo local government area of the state,
between what we had during the trial census and now, to see whether there were some coverage errors, whether there were some content errors. So we want to correct all this during the trial post-elimination survey.
Earlier, a press briefing and a town hall meeting was held as the commission engaged community leaders, among other stakeholders, on the trial post-enumeration survey to ensure no one is left uncounted due to the 2023 National Population and Housing Census in the state. In Yola, Simon Asher, NTA News.
To agriculture now, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has received report on the 2022 wet season agricultural performance compiled by the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. The report indicates that food production decreased this year as a result of flood, pests and diseases. Musa Baba Aliyu completes the report.
The 2022 flood has washed away the anticipated joy and smile on the faces of farmers in 34 states. The flood in some states came when farmers were getting ready to harvest their produce.
And there were good hope of bumper harvest. Because even though there is some fluctuation at the takeoff of the rainy season, by the time I come back, particularly this month, October, all the hope of harvest and whatever I had was turned down.
The survey documents presented to the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development show that pests and diseases, as well as high cost of inputs, were also challenges that confronted farmers this year.
The cost of farm inputs this year is more than double, and then the availability and affordability was not readily available to the farmer.
The survey indicates that national production of maize decreased by 0.1%, cassava 1.65%, tomatoes 10.05%, and ginger dropped by 3.4%. And crops that the output increased this year are rice, which increased by 1.9%, cowpea 1.4%, groundnut 1.34%, yam 4.47%, and bean seeds 2.1%. Niger is leading in rice production, followed by Benue, then Kano states. Kaduna is leading in maize production, Niger is second, and Plateau third. Benue leads in cassava production, while Niger is the largest producer of yam this year.
Overall, it's a very good report. We can build on that, and we always move forward to this annual report.
So the next challenge before the Research Institute is the analysis of dry season farming, hoping that government will consider and implement the recommendations for the 2022 wet season farming. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Building the entrepreneurial capacity of women to traverse the commercial sector is central to attaining women economic empowerment. Ngozi Technicure reports that 154 memoranda towards achieving this target are undergoing analysis at the ongoing 22nd National Council on Women Affairs in Abuja.
These are stakeholders across the 36 states and FCT championing the cause of women empowerment and inclusion in decision-making, this time on a wider forum. That is, the 22nd National Council on Women Affairs. Key to achieving this feat is information captured in paper presentations to equip women on trade and investment.
The society, however, did not pay keen attention to the great contribution of women to the growth of the society, and this has long way to darken their morals and make their own effort fruitless.
Women will be directly involved with the fight against deforestation and combating climate change as well. The women will earn a living from the sales of agricultural waste.
The Permanent Secretary Aliu Shinkafi of the Ministry of Women Affairs enumerated other areas of focus and expected outcomes of the council.
In last year's council I read, it was resolved that all the states should have situation rooms, and most of the states as of today, they are having those situation rooms which are meant for collating data on GBV and other vices that are happening day by day.
The council continues with ministerial session on the 4th. Ngozi Technicure, NTA News.
To health matters now, the Delta State government has flagged off the integrated measles campaign in Asaba, the state capital, with a call to mothers to avail their children enrolled between the ages of 9 and 59 months the vaccination against the deadly disease. Tessie Coker reports that the governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, also received the United States Award for Sustainable Health Care Financing at the ceremony. I understand that report will come later. Moving on, the National Institute for Cultural Orientation yearly National Children's Cultural Fiesta is reorientating the minds of Nigerian children towards imbibing the culture of respect, discipline, integration, and the fear of God. At the closing ceremony of this year's fiesta in Abuja, the Executive Secretary of the Institute, Ado Mohammed Yahuza, and the keynote speaker, Professor Bath Oshenabo of the University of Abuja, said the program is designed to stimulate cultural consciousness amongst students, as well as create a platform to discover young talents in culture and creative arts.
Of tomorrow is by laying solid foundation, protected foundation, and effective foundation for them. They are future leaders, but we have to prepare them in such a way that when we come to their turn, they will lead us in the right direction.
Schools from the 6 area councils in the FCT made presentations in cultural products, debate, music, and dancing competitions.
I'm very excited that we won because we put in a lot of effort into the preparation for the competition. And may Lord Almighty bless them for doing or organizing such a program. We encourage everyone, all the children, both male and female, that they have a talent to show, that they should never hide it and they should come out and show it to the world because the world is ours.
The yearly National Institute for Cultural Orientation Children's Cultural Fiesta was held at the same time in the 36 states of the country and the Federal Capital Territory. The Yobe State Children's Parliament is advocating full enforcement of the Children's Rights Protection Law to secure the future of children and enable them actively participate in matters relating to their welfare in the country. Members of the parliament made the plea at a press briefing on the Girl Child Education for Conflict-Affected North-East Nigeria project held in Damaturu. Yunus Suleiman reports.
Gathered here are members of Yobe State Children Parliament, using their social influence to voice out some challenges hindering their ability to discover and harness their full potentials.
In states affected by conflict, education is extremely hard for all children and even more for girls living in those states.
Government at all levels to fight against early and first child marriage. Make a law punishable if anyone continues to marry children.
With the passage of Child Rights Protection Act into law in the state, critical stakeholders at the gathering have unanimously agreed to continue to promote the welfare of children for them to contribute meaningfully to the state and the country in general.
The State House of Assembly is working in collaboration with the Joint Sector Reform Team, Yobe State, as well as Save the Children towards the full implementation of the law.
As journalists, we must play our own part in educating, enlightening, and setting the agenda for stakeholders to emulate this gesture.
At Save the Children, children are at the heart of everything that we do. And we do all that we can to ensure that they survive, learn, and are protected.
Girls' Education for Conflict-Affected Northeast Nigeria is a project supported by Save the Children International, serving as a platform where concerned authorities are called to respond to issues affecting girl child education and other related matters. In the match, Yunus Suleiman, NTA.
And sports update is next.
ahead of the second leg tie between Nigeria's under-23 team and their Tanzanian counterparts this Saturday at the Lake Salami Sports Complex, Ibadan. The Oyo State government has called on all and sundry to come out en masse and support the Olympic team.
We are therefore calling on all football-loving citizens to come en masse to witness the epoch-making events and give our darling under-23 Olympic team an overwhelming and arousing support to victory.
As well, 25 Special Marshal units will compete in the maiden edition of the 2022 Special Marshal Football Competition, scheduled to hold November 8 at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. The event, which is aimed at unifying the various units of the Special Marshal's Abuja branch, are grouped into 6 for the week-long event.
You see, the work of the road safety is to ensure that our roads are safe, and in the process of doing that, a lot of fitness and energy is required.
Other sporting events include badminton, volleyball, basketball, and table tennis. Still on football,